The car's not what I would call completely safe.
Okay.
Oh my God! The last time we saw Goldie, my new C6 Z06, I took her on a 1,200-mile shakedown road trip. It turns out she's got a few issues. I'm going to take her to my friend Trent, aka Mr. Meticulous. He's going to look her over and tell me if it's a good idea or a terrible idea to take her out on track today. I've arrived in the land of the giants.
Sean.
And Trent, Mr.
What's up,
Meticulous.
guys?
What happened?
He didn't double nut. We were just going down Bell's Ferry and he hit a bump kind of hard, and I'm assuming it just ripped the bolt out of the nut. Leaf spring just hit the ground and it was just making, you know, just fiberglass / metal on asphalt. You know, it was like a stabilizer.
Got it.
You know, just poking in the ground. I have friends with Mustangs and Fords and stuff, so this isn't new to me.
Okay.
You see what I'm saying? I don't know what all is damaged.
What's covering your... All right, well, we're going to have to stop there anyway.
Shocks are wet, and that the rear tie rod is just totally wet. This one's better. This one's a lot better. The shock is. They look like they might have been replaced too, honestly. And that's the thing that's I really don't like about seeing replaced suspension parts is they're not OEM replacements. And what the dealer will do, they're trying to make money, and they'll take off a perfectly good part and give you a part that'll last a third of the life of the part they just took off.
So those are not the factory rear shocks?
I don't believe so. The front, it just went one time.
Careful of my carbon fiber fenders, Trent.
2015?
Yep, that was a while ago. What's the downside of tires that are 7 years old?
I think the only downside is the rubber when it oxidizes as it's exposed to air. You know, so the stickiness, the characteristics as it heats up are not going to be the same as when they manufactured the tire.
What's the danger of those shocks on track?
I don't think there's any danger from what I saw. Take it easy. You won't be able to push the car as far as it would otherwise go. Because Corvette has a unique way of, you know, locating the toe in the rear. It's a great way of doing it, but when the parts get worn out, it's really exacerbates dynamic toe problems. That's why I recommend getting a bump steer kit for this car, front and rear. All the stuff that's wrong with it right now is stuff that we wanted to upgrade anyway. When it comes to the motor, I'm happy with that amount of power, so it's really just about getting the reliability there. I think the more you say, well, while we're in there, let's add a bunch of power and let's get it to 700 wheel horsepower, now you're adding a whole bunch of heat to the equation. I mean, you gotta think about the clutch, you gotta think about the rear end, you gotta think about the transmission, you gotta think about your torque tube bushings, you know. That's a significant amount of power. And believe me, I'm always thinking about my torque tube bushings. Why don't we take it for a quick spin, see what you think from a driving standpoint. Great oil pressure, I like to see that. You know, oil temp 144, that's the first thing I look at, is like when the oil's hot, what's the oil pressure? Because if a car's beat on, not taken care of, you know, the bearings will just get worn over time a little bit more than a normal car. I'm struggling a little bit on the clutch. Window 4, we gotta get rid of that.
Oh yeah, is there a way to disable that?
Yeah, you can do it with hardware, or I can unlock your VIN with HP tuners. It's like 50 bucks.
Okay.
And I can get rid of it with software.
Are you feeling the brakes at all yet?
Yeah.
I can't think of what it would be other than a warped rotor. I don't know how the rotor would have gotten warped though. And I did see what looked like deposits on the rotors, but I drove it so hard on the rally that I would have thought it would clean them off.
And I'll do like 6 to 8 legitimate 60 to 20 stops.
Okay.
You know, and then just drive it and let the brakes cool down.
Basically like a bedding procedure.
And 90% of the time, it cleans them.
Okay. It's fun, right?
It is just so civilized in how it does it, but it is fast.
Yeah. I hear some whine that I assume is coming from the clutch, the transmission.
Yep, it's totally normal. It's the torque tube.
Now, what's the difference between a torque tube and a drive shaft?
So the torque tube is an outer casing for the drive shaft. The car still has a drive shaft. It's just much smaller, and it rides on bearings inside of like a 6-inch aluminum tube. Basically, the reason they did it is it connects the front and the rear subframes together, and when you apply torque to the rear, it creates like a lever arm on the front of the car and actually shoves the rear end down.
We're gonna look at the Firebird real quick.
69 Firebird.
Okay.
My great uncle bought it new. The Firebird was the premium Camaro.
So you've had it since you were how old?
Since I was 15.
What's the color called?
British Racing Green.
What's the brown stuff called?
Patina.
Sean's gonna take me for a ride in this thing. Let's get her started up.
We had it. It was dialed yesterday, but it was warm every crank. The timing might not be perfect for cold. We know that. It looks like it has a carburetor, but it's actually a Holly Sniper.
Really? Cool. Okay. Since you've been able to drive this?
I had the old motor that I drove it probably like 5 years ago.
What is it that appeals to you about classic cars?
In Miami, everybody's got Ferraris, Mercedes, G-Wagons, Porsches. But then you see like an old classic car and you already know that's a car guy.
How much power does it make?
I have the dyno sheet back at the house. I remember the impressive part was it was like 600 foot-pounds of torque at 3,000 RPMs. So it's a healthy boy.
I didn't know what I was getting myself into. Jesus. What are the chances that we're gonna see another 69 Firebird this morning?
Pretty low.
I would say 0.
Yeah.
After Trent looked over the car, he felt that I could probably do a few laps safely at Atlanta Motorsports Park, and so I wanted to take it out and get a baseline lap time. This is my friend Lauren.
Hello.
She's gonna come along for the ride. When was the last time you were on track in a car?
Last time when I did the Lotus experience, so maybe like 3 months ago.
I'm sorry, what were we saying?
When was the last time I was on track in a car? Probably like 3 or 4 months ago.
Okay.
When I drove the Lotus.
I don't want to alarm you, but this car is not perfect right now.
Okay.
Shocks are bad in the back. I might have a warped rotor, although I did try to scrub them off today.
You're kidding.
Hey, Sammy.
Ready?
Yeah, I think we're ready.
Don't blow it up.
Okay.
Have fun.
So this is my first time ever driving it on track.
Oh, nice.
The car's not what I would call completely safe,
Okay.
but we're gonna be fine.
Oh my god, I'm glad I'm in my motorcycle suit.
Oh my god, what is that?
Oh shit, that's your warped rotor.
You can feel the shocks are not damping the motions enough, so it gets this pogo stick thing going on.
Yeah, pogo stick for sure.
Oh my god, the vibrations. This is the only part of the track that actually scares me. Oh fuck. Those bumps are no good. Oh my god.
Oh shit. Nice, Josh. Nice driving.
So we're gonna do one more after this and then we're gonna back it off.
Okay.
This car, when I upgrade it, is gonna be so good, but right now it is so awful. She just doesn't like to turn left, which is so weird.
Right?
Tell me what lap time you see when we cross the line. I'm gonna guess like 143. Come on, Goldie.
Oh my god.
144.1. Thank you again for being a good sport.
That was fun. Thank you for letting me ride. I'm alive.
I'm alive! Went out on track for the very first time today. We had a good time. I mean, we survived. I don't know how safe it was, but I'm happy with the results from that standpoint. The car is okay, but a 144 at AMP is not a good lap time. So I'm gonna work out a plan for upgrades and we're gonna get started on that. And the next time you see Goldie out on track, I think she's gonna do a lot better. Thank you guys for coming along for the ride. We'll see you next time.